Hi, everyone. Hello, and welcome to our panel this evening. We are calling this Maybe Judge a Book by Its Cover. And our panelists this evening are cover designers who have worked on our books by the Romance Class community. Romance Class is a community of Filipino authors of romance and the readers of the books and the artists who help us make our books. My name is Mina V. Esguerra. I'm an author and publisher and founder of Romance Class, and I will be hosting the panel today. Just a little bit about the panel before you meet everybody. In Romance Class, we talk about cover design a lot, like on a weekly, if not daily basis, just within the community. We have had a workshop on this led by Miles Tan, who is part of the panel today. Miles has designed not just the Romance Class community website, but a lot of the covers that you see on the site. Tania Arpa has designed most of my covers and also those of several other authors in Romance Class, most recently the latest books in JE3's playlist series. Carla de Guzman is an author and has designed covers for her books, as well as Don Lanuza's book of poetry, You're Here, published by Andrews McNeil. Tanya, Miles, and Carla do design and art in different ways, which is great because while romance covers come with expectations, we have learned as a community that there are different ways to convey our message and still be on message. Romance Class, as some of you know, is a community mostly based in the Philippines. The reality is, even though we are part of the US trad pub ecosystem as consumers, who we are, what we like, and what we write are not what they think about when they make decisions. So when it comes to us, the books we like, and the cover design discussion for us, um, and also so many other aspects of publishing, it has to come down to what we feel represent us best. Not what someone else says is hot or current or the way it has to be. Because at some point, we knew we couldn't wait for people who kind of didn't really uh, know we exist to make those decisions for us. So now we're making those decisions for ourselves. So that's what the first part of this panel will be about. Tanya, then Miles, then Carla will be talking about what they design, how they design, and what they like as Filipino artists and Filipino romance readers. Those who joined us, I'm seeing your comments now. Hello and welcome. We will answer your questions later. In the second part of the panel, just put questions right away into the chat. So I'm seeing everybody on the panel here on the screen now. Let's start with Tanya Arpa.
Hello. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi. My name is Tanya Arpa. I am I design book covers. I actually like to say not just book covers but books because the design of a book is more than just the cover. And I do mostly romance. I do romance titles because it helps because I read it mostly, and like most of the people I know also write romance. And if you see I'm sharing my screen. This my website, tanyaarpa.com, really should be updated because a lot of these covers are like old. But yeah, these are some samples of my work, and yeah, they are old. Oh, there. So as you can see, a lot of the titles are Mina's holding up her book. Um, yes, I actually have. All right. So, I don't do a lot of book design these days. It's mostly for like my friends, people I know. But I really do want to encourage designers, graphic artists to maybe think about getting into book design, especially if you're the kind of person who loves books. Mina's holding up the latest one. It's so forward. It's a romance book, and yeah, that was our latest project together. What else? That's pretty much it. I have okay. This one is YA. Like I said, it's here. I like to hold up the actual book because there's a design in the back. And okay, this is my thing. I try to encourage the people I work with. Like, maybe you wanna write longer books so I can so I can do fun stuff with the. Okay, we're gonna do the beauty blogger thing. Do I need to? So I can do fun. So I can do fun things with the spine. See how pretty. Hey, well, here, there you go. So yeah, um, that's it. A lot of romance authors, like especially the ones I work with, we, it's we do a lot of digital work. So uh, apart from making sure that it looks good as a print, the design looks good on a print copy, it should also look good on, say, a thumbnail. Because a lot of, especially these days, not a lot of people are going to the bookstores, so they find books through searching, Instagram. So most likely the first impression a person has of your book, if you're an author, is as a thumbnail. So as a cover designer, I have to make sure that the design looks good as a thumbnail, and in one glance you can find out, you know that it what genre it is it romance, is it suspense, is it, I've never done suspense though, I want to, but yeah, so that's the first impression, as a thumbnail. And it should also look good as a on an e-reader, like a Kindle. It's usually black and white. So 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 yeah, that's the general idea of what it is I do. As you can see, I do like to, wait, hang on, let me, oops, here we go. It's bigger. Anyway, so as you can see, I do a lot of pictures on covers because I don't know, I just like it. And I like being able to put Pinoy models on covers because they're gorgeous, of course. And we don't see a lot of Pinoys on book covers. In fact, from our experience, it's like a lot of people, they get confused. Like, what do you mean you want me to be on the cover of your book? It's weird. So yeah, normalize putting Pinoys on your book covers. Uh, Thank you, Mina.
Thank you, Tanya. Next up, Miles.
Hi. Okay. Hi.
Hi, Miles.
Hey,
So,
Miles.
hi, Miles. Um, I've shown up. Uh, I'm a web and graphic designer. I'm also the Romanskas creative and tech support. I've made book covers for most of everyone. um, and I do both photos and illustrations and just letterings. Um, Usually when I do cover design panels like this, I want to get into the process because I want to normalize. That's the word for today. Normalize that you have to be clear about the process and the steps that you take so that you don't go into things blind. So of course things will vary depending on the client and the situation, but this is the basics of it from beginning to end. um, what I want to do is I'll show you the process of what I do. Sampling Don Lanusa. Stay a little longer. Because usually the authors would already know what they want to see on their cover, or they may not know what they want when we first talk. So I asked them a few basic questions. Do they have samples of covers or posters or artwork that they like? Why do they like it? For this, Don gave me a bunch of artsy posters, mostly French movies. And if there's a specific scene they want to show, or a feeling they wanted to evoke, uh, So I got the romantic artsy vibe from this. Is there a particular color scheme they want to use? I also ask for when they do need the cover so we know our timetable. But from there, from the pegs, usually they'd also give me art boards or Pinterest boards. That's very helpful. From there, I create rough studies for them, which can either be illustrated sketches or straight up photo mock-ups. But for this, Dawn wanted something illustrated, so I gave her a bunch of studies for this. Uh, Went with the more literal sense of the artistic movie, art house films posters, or just more popish, like the one on the top right. Um, in an ideal situation, the author would pick one, and only then do I start working on the full cover. If they couldn't decide it, I work on the feedback they give. There may be a lot of back and forth when this happens, but a good cover design owes much to honest feedback as it does hard work. So for this, uh, Don picked the top left, obviously, since that's my to see. And then actually we it was easy enough to do, but it was more of lipstick swatching. As you can see, we tried a bright, bright pink, raspberry, and the other one was like plum-ish. And then she got to pick, and then we have the final one. Okay, one of my favorite. It's also very challenging, but also one of my favorite things to do is the actual work, getting into the cover design process. And one of the recent ones that I've done, thanks, Leila. I like that too. Um, the recent builds that I did, builds. I'm making it this sound like this is like an engineering thing, but there's a lot of technical stuff in this, and I'm also coder, so anyway, recent cover designs that I did was for um Tara's Keeping Miss Kalila. So I like to just fast just showing you how it was done. This is not an actual fast uh time lapse video because this was done in with 3 to 4 weeks. So Tara had a very concrete idea and it was easy for me to just execute it. This all happened, yeah, and then there wasn't really much going back and forth. It's just getting into it. So I'm gonna start this. So there, it starts with a sketch. I redid this because I wasn't happy with the initial one. So there, this was too fast. My favorite part actually here is his jeans and doing the wall art, even if sometimes, because what we do is work smarter, not harder. Because especially with my RSI, I had to, yeah, make it easier for me. But yeah, and there's, yeah, the video may be too fast right now, but yeah, this is one of my favorite covers actually that I did right now recently. So yeah, also challenging because as in earlier part of this build, sorry, why do I keep saying build? And earlier part of this design, I had like 4 or 5 versions of Datu. So yeah. Anyway, thank you, Tara. Um, so that's it. What I what I love about working with romance class covers is like different authors like different things, and so there's more illustrated or they want to use photo or um actually she I can't remember if Tara mentioned she wanted this to be soft, but it became soft anyway. So um so there, the just the diversity of clients that you get, and the, how do you put this, and the needs of the client, and depending on what they want to portray with their book, you work with those. And I've done not just romance, but also like essay books for Gantala Press, the anthologies, and for High Club, and then, but it's just working with romance that's just diversified my portfolio because of all the needs, or what the different uh likes, or what they want the covers. So thank you for letting me work with you guys. Love you. Um um and then I just want to go over some of the recent covers that I've seen lately that I really love. And sometimes I just want to be able to improve my skills so I can do a little bit something like that. Particularly by Dan Strude and what's her name? I'm sorry, Lenny Kaufman. So I really love this because they really stand out, and but still you see the diversity of the people and the main characters. So yeah, um, I have nothing left to say. So let's go to Carla.
Thank you, Miles. Carla, you're up.
Oh my. Wait, let me just share a screen. Okay, sorry, this is the last. Okay, so these are the covers that I've done. They are mostly for my own books because I like working on my own covers. Yeah, I've also done some lettering for other books like No Two Ways. I did the lettering for that, and the illustrations for the cover and interiors of You Are Here by Don Lanuza, and the coloring and cover for Let the Sea Lift You Up. So it's not as many and as wide a portfolio, but yeah, meron. These are some of the examples of romance covers that I have really, really enjoyed looking at. Some of these I have in print copy because I just like them so much. So the thing that I like about these covers is that you just looking at the covers, you know exactly what you're going to get. The people are represented correctly. The people are in positions that would let you know what you're about to read. So if it's a romance, they're holding each other or looking yung particularly malagkit at each other. The characters, let's say for example, for Olivia Dade's spoiler alert. I also love Olivia Dade's covers. Spoiler alert is very extra special to me because the girl looks really, really curvy and she's in an almost kiss situation with a guy, which is so different. Like one of the very few times I've seen a plus size cover with this kind of intimacy. I also love With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. It's YA, but I think the cover perfectly shows who the character is because the book itself is basically a character study. So, um, with one look, I like it when the cover tells you exactly what's inside. So, and then bonus points kung may bulaklak. 'Cause I love me a flower. um, and one of the things I've noticed lately is that I feel like trad pub in the US especially is going a particular direction that I'm not a big fan of. Lately, there have been reissues or changes in covers where the characters are gone completely, or they're turned into illustrations, or in some cases, the character on the cover doesn't represent the character in the book, which I have a huge problem with. And I notice that when it comes to the more indie side, especially with romance class, we're putting more faces on our covers, which I think is so important. One of the things that I always hear about the trad covers recently is that the author gets complaints that a new reader is surprised that there is sex on the page. Which isn't it the job of the cover to tell you what the inside of the book should be like? So I feel like with this new trend that they're going on, there's that possibility of making a reader feel like they've been fooled into buying a book. So, not a fan of that. And meanwhile, on the romance class side, I really appreciate that we've been putting more and more Filipino faces on cover because more Filipinos on books is always great. And being able to show Filipinos in love is even better for me. And this kind of opposite thought, opposite theory on what romance cover should look like, sort of led me to redesigning my cover for If the Dress Fits. So in 2016, I did the illustrations and did the cover for If the Dress Fits, where the characters have no faces because I don't know how to draw them, and there's that common thought of I I can't find stock photos of plus size characters. It's not exactly what I want. And I thought it was a great thing. Na parang, oh, it's so cool. They're watercolor. They don't have faces. But then years later, as my attitude toward Martha's character has changed, and as I rewrote the book, I thought the cover needs to change as well. It has to accurately represent what's in the book, which is basically two best friends in love. And you know, the the shoot started out as an inside joke, but then I think the more that I stared at my own face, the more I thought that it worked. So I just kind of went with it. And of course, the flowers are a reference to a scene that everybody seems to love about the book, which is the dangwa scene. So, in summation, I don't, as a person who reads, writes, and designs books, I hate it when people are surprised by a cover. It's the job of the cover to represent accurately represent what's inside. And I feel like when you're able to represent the interiors of your book, you're able to make it stand out more. The reason why the cover of You Had Me at Ola works so well is because they look like they're in a telenovela. Um, spoiler alert works really well because the guy is wearing a suit of armor, so you kind of know there's something like fan related going on. Yeah, so accuracy in representation of your characters can also mean a stronger connection for the person who's about to pick up your book and read it. um, this is my little criticism of the Ola cover. You can't tell that the main character is actually biracial. Not that there's a particular look that a person should look like, but a lot of her, when you read the book itself, a lot of Jasmine's like thoughts are surrounding the fact that she is biracial, but it's not represented in the cover. So I feel like as cover designers, it is our challenge um, to show what people in love would look like, to kind of stretch the limits of what people in love would look like. And yeah, it's a challenge. And as we romance class authors and designers, as we see ourselves going the opposite direction as Tradpub is going, it's interesting for me um, that we are kind of developing our own style. Like you look at a book and you know it's romance class. You look at a book and you know it's going to be this, it's going to have that. And I think that's what makes a great cover. So yeah. Ta-da!
Thank you, Carla. I do love the redesign and and encouraged you to get on that. So we're
Yeah,
going
ang
to
cute ng model. Sino yun?
get
Ang model.
so
Who that?
we're going to take questions from you watching right now. So I hope you're able to.
I do
Yes,
have
go.
something to add though before we get into questions. Yes, comes from Carla's presentation, which is like I loved it. I was like cheering in the background, like yes, which is um anyway. one of the things that a lot of people don't know about book covers is it's not just an art thing. Like, I have a book, oh, the cover has to be, you know, so pretty you want to mount it on a wall. No, it the book cover is a marketing device. It's a thing to sell your book. Um, it's a thing that will make the potential reader want to not buy it maybe, but at least, look at the blurb, the description, and see if this is something that they may want to have. You cannot, you cannot hands. Word of mouth is good, but not everybody is lucky enough for their book to go viral that way. So it is like basically one of the things that a lot of indie authors, really successful ones, the ones who make like six figures a year, a lot of them have redesigned their old covers, like from books from 5 years ago, and they see a huge bump in sales because because trends change, right? And expectations, whatever. There are certain expectations from the look of a book, and again, so yes, it's a marketing thing. It's So if your book, you're an indie author, I can't really, because trad traditionally published authors don't really have a lot of control over their books. Even if the publisher gives them a cover that they hate, they can't say they hate it, right? Because you don't want to be that person. So yeah. It is wait, where was I? So yeah, it is the book cover is a thing that sells your book, and it should be able to convey the genre, and basically just expectations. It should not give the reader the wrong expectations. And if they
Mm.
say, I wait, your book is spicier than I expected from what it looked like, don't don't be that person. Don't be patronizing. Don't tell them, oh, you must be new to romance. Come on. I've been reading romance for literally decades. I know what a steamy book looks like, right? A lot of us do. So don't just suddenly say, "Oh, we're gonna make our books." We're gonna, because okay. Let's face it. I understand why a pub. I don't agree with it, but a lot of the trend towards the more cartoony covers is so because a lot of readers do not want to pick up a book with a couple in a clinch,
Yeah.
because a lot of it is because they don't like open door sex scenes, and you have to respect that. That's a boundary that everyone needs to respect. So uh I don't know, I think a lot of, I don't know, it's just it's an opinion, just, but I think they're trying to go for the kind of reader who will not pick up a clinch cover book,
Mhm.
and it's kind of uh,
Yeah.
eh, it's kind of scammy.
So it's
So
interesting that,
this is why,
yeah.
like, I appreciate when steamy books have steamy covers, because I know what I'm getting. I'm not, just guessing. I have to go through a bazillion reviews on Goodreads. Don't put this burden on the book reviewers. They're already doing a lot of work, a lot of it unpaid.
Just
Do not give
reviewing
them
their
the burden
yeah.
of having to explain to people, oh no, this book actually has a lot of open door sex scenes in it. So yeah, that is my rant. I'm gonna have some tea now. This is
No,
coffee.
I'm picking up on that from Tanya. If I my last year I made a talk as a primer for cover design for authors. There I talk about choosing the right elements and visual summary for your book's cover
mhm.
and help you sell it. There I talk a lot of things. It's on Gumroad. It covers what you need to know before,
Yes.
during, and after the commission process, how to convey your ideas to your artist, and key factors and decisions for an effective book cover. In this case, a romance cover. So, and right now it's actually I have
Ooh,
a
there you go.
50% discount code to get it with the code RC Readathon 2020, with that URL, gum.co, cover design for authors. And it's just a limited offer because it's just a few slots. But yeah, go get it if you're interested.
Thank
Yay,
you,
Miles.
Miles. And thank you, Tanya. So earlier today there was a discussion and panel on heat level zero. So that's what we call our books that don't have any sexual content at all. So that's interesting. If you have any opinion about cover design and conveying heat level, it's good to watch this panel and then that panel together, because we do want to be able to convey in the books and in the way that we talk about the books and the way that we package the books, what the reader is getting. And yes, as mentioned as people are mentioning in our comments now, sometimes they're buying a book for their child, or they're a teacher buying a book to assign it to a class. So they want to be able to not have to go through so much to find the content of a book, because sometimes it's not clear from the description, from the cover, from several reviews or the most famous reviews. It's not clear what the book is about or what it might have.
Mm.
So, but that's something that, yeah. So as I mentioned in the introduction, it's interesting for us to have this discussion, because I think it's something that we should be able to have now among ourselves, because we are the audience, we are the people creating it, and we are also the people who we feel are representing ourselves in the book. So we should. I love that, to be able to regularly talk to you three and everyone else invested in making our book covers, to sort of decide how we get to represent ourselves. And sometimes it's illustration, sometimes it's cover photos, sometimes it's art. And yeah, so everyone share their opinions, and that's great. So please
I have
get
something to
Miles.
add. I have something
Yes,
to add
Tanya.
about yeah, because a lot, well, Mina and Carla and Miles, you're some of you are hybrid, but you do a lot of indie publishing, right? And we sort of understand that it's very hard to find, but when you're an indie publisher, you can't, not every indie author can afford to do a cover shoot,
Yeah.
right? Um, and it's very hard to find stock, especially if your characters are very diverse, which is a thing
Mm-hmm.
that everybody wants, right? Well, what we want. So it's hard to find people of color. And I noticed this thing, right? This is in the old days, Mina, before we started to do the photo shoots. So I'd
Yes.
like to look for like Asians, right? And you could see the difference with the way they're posed, with their expressions. And like, there are some, but the Asian models, they're always, you see like
Not
white
touching.
models, they're very fierce, they're, they look straight at the camera, they have attitude. The Asians are very, hi, please don't hurt me, I'm nice. And it's really like, you can, after so many years of doing this, it's so yeah, these are the things you notice. So yeah, if you're an indie author and you have to make do with, well, not make do, because actually a lot of these illustrations are pretty good.
Really good,
And
yeah. There are
it's
good
really
ones.
we're really mostly kind of side eyeing the traditional publishers, because they do have the budget for photo shoots, but they choose not to. And see,
Yeah.
the thing is, when you start normalizing, accurate covers with like people and stuff. And since we're everybody's like, there are more authors of color now and writing characters of color, that means
Mm-hmm.
there will be more, it'll be more, I don't know, feasible for I don't know, stock photographers to shoot more people of color, like models of
Mm-hmm.
color. And that's the thing. So this trend is sort of, it's sort of stopping that. And
Yeah.
I was gonna be so I was so happy. Oh yay! A lot of characters of colors are, it's going mainstream now. And but where are they? I want to see them on the, yeah. So
It's
there. Oh,
weird.
speaking
It's
of which,
weird because oh yeah, go ahead.
go ahead, Carla.
It's
I
just
will.
weird because I feel like we were already getting there. Like there were certain books by certain authors that had these really amazing like photo covers, and then suddenly the kiss quotient happened, and then everyone's in blue and yellow, and you can't tell one book apart from the other, which is sad because these books are all completely different with completely different characters. So sayang is what I'm saying. Like Tanya said, there are a lot more authors of color getting both traditionally published and indie published, and yet the trend is going the opposite direction of what we are currently trying to fight for.
Yeah.
Sayang.
And speaking of Jella had a comment earlier about she picked up an illustrated cover, a book with an illustrated cover. She thought it was YA, but it wasn't. And actually, the thing is with YA is doing amazing things
Oh
with
yeah.
covers. I noticed, like they have Asians, they have, and this is my, this is so well these days. This is my favorite book cover ever. I
Oh,
don't know if
yeah.
you've
Mm.
read this. This is a YA book. It's horror. It's about zombies in the Civil War era. And look, it's so pretty. This is YA. Look at that.
Is that title in silver? Wow.
And it looks so fabulous. I love it so much. And so yeah, good job YA.
And I think what's happening is we're trained again, but we're the people who buy this stuff. We're the ones who were trained for how many years and sometimes decades that this is what beautiful looks like, this is what romantic looks like. And then suddenly when it suddenly doesn't, I think we have to trust it. It doesn't look romantic. It doesn't look like me. It doesn't look like it's supposed to look. So, I mean, our tastes were shaped by the same system. So
Yeah.
if they decide that this was the way it should have been when the characters were Americans and white and straight, then we got trained to find that attractive. So now it's like all of this, like the way that we talk about this a lot, has been trying to break down what do we give up, what do we not take away from that, and just what do we create that we find pretty and beautiful and romantic and sexy. And so in the shoots that we're doing, we're kind of discovering that with screaming and and killing, um, that we're seeing in books that you have been designing, what we think is romantic and sweet and nice. So wait, I have to ask you a question. So we had a question up earlier. Uh, what's your tip for someone who wants to offer cover design to romance class authors? If you're too busy and now you have someone now, someone wants to start offering, they're an artist, they want to offer romance class to romance class authors that they can do their cover, what would be your tip or advice for them, for the artist?
Be prepared to compromise. But in
Meaning.
terms of
Before we talk about Miles, you can tell us. It's just the four of
Yeah,
us
no,
here.
be
Miles.
prepared
What
to
are you talking
compromise
about?
of because sometimes you have a study that you submit to the author that you want, or you have a favorite study from the ones that you've submitted to them, and they
Okay.
pick the other one. But then you realize, wait,
Just
I
don't
made that
blame me,
study
Miles. It's
too.
fine.
I made that study too, and she picked that. So okay.
You mean your feelings as an artist versus the author's
Basically, yeah,
feelings
basically.
over
Like,
what the best work was? Okay.
yeah, basically. It's kind of like that because coming into this as a graphic designer, of course, if you don't have experience, if you're not experienced yet, and this will be your first freelance work or commission, there's going to be a lot more, how do you say this, friction, because of the feedbacks, and be prepared for multiple feedbacks or multiple back and forths, because oh, can we change the color, can we change the angle a little bit, can we change the font, and sometimes for a new artist that could be a bit exhausting, frustrating. So yeah, if you're new to this, but Well, I have a bit of experience because I finished fine arts. So there's a lot already there. There's a lot to unpack. But uh, so yeah, if you're new coming into this, just expect that it's not easy from the start. But if you've already established what you're doing, it gets easier, but still not so much because it's still very different if the author really wants is set on a thing, and or if it's not the author, it's the publisher. You know what I mean? So especially I've worked with both indie and with TradPub. So yeah, there's a lot of feedback, and you have to really compromise with what you like, and
Mhm.
to not exactly settle, but to for it's close enough to settle, but not
Yan
really.
tuloy, mute ako ng voice.
Maybe something you're both happy with.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my tip. Just just don't be so hard on your own design. Don't 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 be clingy.
Oh no. Do you have, how about Tanya or Carla? Do you have advice
Carla
for
na go.
artists? Mhm.
Well, mine is kind of like weird advice because I do my own covers, so I just do what I want. No, but I guess if you want to start making covers for romance class, it would be a good idea to kind of treat yourself as your own client. So, for example, if you were doing the cover for this book, how would you do it? You have to have read the book, of course, to accurately make a cover. So I think a large part of being in the romance class community is actually reading the books. So if you want to be a part of the community as a cover designer, it does matter if you've read the books before. So if you want to, parang I see this a lot, like on Instagram for lettering artists, especially. They give themselves a brief, and then through that they're able to get clients because their clients can see na, oh, kaya mo pala gawin yun, like you can do this particular style. So I guess that's how people started to ask me, girl, you can do this pala. Kasi, because I tried. I did it for the books that I've enjoyed. So it kind of led to that. So yun, that's my advice.
Mine
Okay.
is my
Sige, go on.
I have like a quick one. Have a website, have a portfolio that th- and pricing. So
Yeah.
uh that's usually the fastest way that we can really recommend you if you're ready to offer your services and art, like lettering or cover photography or something like that. We're all indie pretty much, so we need to know if we can afford you. uh, it's the first thing, and also just to see a portfolio of your work. That's my tip. How about you, Tanya?
Okay. I actually do encourage uh, designers to get into book design, especially if you like books. I mean, if you don't like books, maybe don't. But if you uh, getting into baking book covers for romance class, uh, you pretty much need to actually like romance. That is a thing that we should. Oh, Miles has left us. Come back, Miles. um, you have to like romance. You have to like the kind of books that are being published by romance class authors. I mean, not all of them, but uh, in general, you have to. And yeah, like Mina says, have your rates, have a portfolio. You can actually make fake covers of books that are already in existence. Maybe not display it on your
Study.
website, but at least
Study.
if you have no experience yet, so you have something to show like say Mina, you have something to show Mina. This is what I can do. It doesn't necessarily have to be a real cover that's published, and you have to like romance. You have to like romance with Filipino characters. These are romance classes, specifically contemporary romance, by the way. And you have to unlearn, if especially if you do design for other things, you have to unlearn a lot of it when you do designs for books. I've tried working with like really good artists. They do amazing work, but they do not understand book design, and I didn't have time to explain it to them. So basically, book design is a specific requires a specific set of skills, a specific, you know, point of it's a thing that just not all artists can do it. You have to,
Yeah.
there's some things you need to learn, of course. Like for example, and I do I like I said, I do encourage a lot of artists to get into book design, mostly we can so we can be friends. We can, there's more of us, and there are certain things that I can't do. Like for example, I don't know, those things they use for paranormal romance with the
With the
with the
smoke
Right.
and
pictures
the
and the graphic,
lights.
and like I can't do that, for example, right? And so maybe if you can do that, you can. It's good to have a variety of options, and we can learn from each other, right? Because that's a thing for a certain, I don't know, it's for a certain art to develop. Artists should learn from each other. Is what I think. So yeah, that is the.
We have another question. Let's wait for it to be pulled up. Okay, so what haven't you done yet for a cover that you really want to? Like, well, Tanya just said paranormal, paranormal effects, and
It's it's more like, I think the thing I really want, well, I've done it, but I want to design more books that are longer. I like to do,
Thicker
I
spine,
like to do good.
please.
No,
you
kasi
want more
ganito,
spine
a
work.
while, years ago when we started this, the spine was not really something I paid attention to, because these were indie books, and you don't really get to see the spine much.
Mhm,
We
yeah.
don't sell them in bookstores. However, recent developments, especially if you publish in like an indie, like say the Ripped Bodice in LA, right? They can actually order your books and display them in the stores. I'm sorry, I did not have a picture, but
I
some of the
have.
romance class books have been are currently on display at the Rip. It's a romance focused bookstore in California, and a lot of romance class books are actually being displayed on the shelves now. So spines are important. So I
Yeah,
wanna
I
I
my
wanna
the
make
first
Suddenly.
book the first book
yes,
I
that's
had
right.
there on in that store did not have a spine. It's so I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We changed it.
so
We changed
so
it
yeah,
since then. So one lesson is things can be changed.
yeah,
Yeah.
You
right.
can
So
learn.
yeah, so spines are, that's why I like I'm like sort of hinting like write longer books
Oh,
so I can, you know I can do stuff with the spine. That's the thing. All right.
how about you, Carla? Is there something you haven't done yet for a cover, but you just
Mm,
can't wait to?
what haven't I done? Char?
No,
No, just
that's
kidding.
true.
One of my favorite ever print cover books is Pride by E.B. Zoboy.
Oh, okay.
I don't have it with me because I lost my copy. But the inside, the book itself is so pretty. Like the jacket looks like an older book because it's a remix of Pride and Prejudice. And when you open the inside, it's the illustration of the two main characters inside profile, and it looks so nice. I think I have it on my PowerPoint.
And I think the colors, it depends on when you buy it, but the
Mm-hmm.
colors are different. I think
There.
there are some editions with a different color.
I've seen it in pink and in blue. So yeah, this is the cover for Ibiza Boys Pride. The one I'm holding is the outside of the book, so that's a separate jacket. And this award-winning photo by Chachik, Chachik's book nook on Instagram, is the inside cover. So love to see. I would love to try designing something like that, like a separate jacket and an interior. But then that's like that's like for something else later on. Perhaps not in 2020. But yeah, someday. Be fun.
Cool. Okay. We have another question. So, how important is font style in a book cover from a guy? And they're having like font fun in the comments right now.
Oh
Or
no, Times
font
New
fun.
Romance.
So,
Nakakaasar.
are there fonts that should be retired? Comic Sans for
Yes.
romance. Times New Romance.
Somebody should make that font. Carla, go.
So, what are your font opinions?
Okay, my wait, which question do I how
So, that's
important
the
is
first
font style?
question, yeah.
It's pretty important. For one thing, it should be
Readable.
legible, especially as a thumbnail, and it should convey the mood, or it should go with the rest of the book.
And not
Uh,
be misread as something else, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
we've had
we've
some
seen it
bloopers with
before. Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, one of my in my early days, I'd like ask my friend to take a look at like anyway, I asked my friend to be a focus, but what are your first impressions in this book and that? So okay, because um I was new. I was new to the business and I wasn't sure, but the font is like basically as with any element of the book cover, it has to go with the rest with the whole thing. Like even the like say the title, it should go with the title.
Mhm.
And it doesn't necessarily mean it should match the title, but sometimes you go the opposite direction. Like the title is funny, but I mean like the title is serious, but the font is funny. That means you're trying not Comic Sans funny, but you're trying to convey a mood. Like, haha, we're just kidding. Parang ganon. So yeah, it's super super important. Actually spent some covers, I've spent more time figuring out the font than anything else. I would spend like that was 2 hours. I was just looking fonts for and I bought a bunch of font bundles just because I needed options.
One
So I
particular.
yeah, it's like I actually have so many fonts that I bought already. I go through all of them, like this one, no, and so it really it sometimes takes hours. Yeah. Okay, Bri.
I saw
Thank
that.
you for the
Like, of course, Bridge was
props.
the one who said it.
Thanks,
Ikaw,
Bridge,
Carla.
for that comment.
Uh, as a person who does lettering for her covers, for me, it's very, very important. Sometimes, like, I have a tendency to use script a lot in my covers because it's the one that I am most comfortable with doing. Yeah, like for example, for No Two Ways, we first agreed on doing the No Two Ways first in the sans serif font, and then the word two was originally supposed to be brush lettering. But then when I did it, it kind of looked murdery. Like,
Murder.
We don't
Okay.
want
yeah,
that.
We don't want
yeah.
that.
Like, why does it, bakit mo papatayin? Papatayin sila. So we just decided to do it in script. So it would have changed the look of the cover, obviously, if people thought it was murder. So yeah, and then Alta, my gosh. Yeah, I had to go through like a lot of different fancy fonts and fancy lettering to see what would fit most because the Alta cover is kind of 1920s ish, but still because we had Pinoy faces, it still had to be recognizable. So I just decided to go with a more slightly fancy script in white still, because it's readable. Like the original font was, it was this nice fancy serif font that it didn't wasn't as readable as that. So in the end, like legibility is still the most important. So there.
Mine
Miles, are you?
is, yeah, I'm
Oh, by
here.
the way,
Hi,
I said,
Miles.
hey, Miles is back. Go on, Miles.
With the font style, agree with everything they've said already. Mostly, if I can't get the font that I need, I just write on your books. Those are all my handwriting, folks. If that's not a font, that's my handwriting. So if you can't find it, just do it.
I can't do
That's
that. My
awesome.
penmanship is really not great. Oh, by the way, here's the thing with any with books and any posters or whatever. Try to keep your number of different typefaces to maybe three. You can do
Three.
more than three, but you
Three
have to be
types.
a very good designer to pull that off
I mean, in one
Yeah,
cover.
yeah.
How about
in one
just
cover.
in
Yes,
one view, in one like
yeah, and
screen
one.
that yeah that someone can view.
Or else it would look like those penny dreadfuls or the Victorian
Like
time
or a
newspapers.
magazine.
Unless
Yeah.
that's what you're going for, right?
If
If
that's what you're going,
Yes, if
I
if
like this.
if
not, then
if
I
it's the
like this
time period you're going
question.
for.
I like the question by Saber Kite. Can we have that up? Um, Saber Kite, may moratorium pa ba sa colors? So I want to give context to this. So this we have a joke when we started selling our books in fairs and displaying every book. It's funny because you would see like a lot of purple or a lot of blue or a season with a lot of yellow or a sea with um and
Well, that's
and
my
it's
fault though. That's
that's
my fault.
your fault,
That's on me.
Miles.
Because
I have
I
to
was
ask.
avoiding the other colors, so I ended up in the bright spectrum anyway. So
But
there
like
Yeah,
you go.
sometimes when I'm working on a book for Mina, I have to ask her, Mina, what colors are we avoiding this time?
yeah, and that's something that we used to not worry about because when you're an author, you just have to worry about your own stuff, right?
Your
Eyes
own.
on
Yeah.
your own paper. You should your books should in sequence look different, but but when as a community we sell our books together and a lot of the books look the same. So the thing is we try not to do like a trend color. We want each book to stand out, especially if we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna put all the new stuff together. um so that's the joke. Like, what's the what's your color next book? What's your color? What's your
What's
color? We want every color to we want every book to be able to stand out on its own and not be mistaken for another book. That's the that like someone else's book and someone else's or a different author pala yung akala. So that's the reason behind it. But designers, what are your thoughts on the colors?
we can't do yellow anymore. That's that's what I remember.
I've used
At
up
least
that.
for a month.
I've used it all up. I'm so sorry, guys.
I've so a lot of times when I'm doing a cover, I just spend like maybe an hour just figure finding like moving the moving around the
The
color.
wheel.
I was like,
Does
will
this
this
look
work?
nice?
So yeah, I don't know.
But
Yeah.
Just
maybe
find something
also,
that works with the mood of the
yeah,
book.
of the book. And if you really want to stand up from the books from the community, just check the website and see what's
Yeah.
in the new releases and what is the color not on the front page, basically. If you really want to stand out. But yeah.
Only because we want you to have like a shot to be noticed. So especially if somebody like you, meaning the author of the new book, we want people to remember your cover, your you yourself, rather than like look into a table or a shelf full of romance class books and sort of forget which one is yours. That's the reasoning behind like planning out the colors color covers.
Color
Okay, six has
combination.
one more yellow cover reserved. Okay, but not
It's
right
okay.
now, right?
Take it, girl. Take it
It's
all.
okay. It's okay. We're avoiding yellow for a little bit more. Okay. We have been live for 1 hour, so thank you so much. Wait, we have a few more questions, so we'll just go through. Uh, I think another question or two. We will not answer Leila's question. we will just
Sorry, girl.
We just flashed
comment
it
on
on the
we,
screen.
yeah, we
We can't
flashed it
comment
on the
on things
screen
we
and
don't
then
know about.
we reacted. But anyway, next question is, if you can redesign a romance book cover, what would it be and how would you do it? Yeah, if there's
Hmm.
one. And while you're thinking about it, I just want to say, because it's possible, for example, for an author to have the rights reverted back to them, and then maybe they wanna as is the case with some authors we know right now, and some books, some rights will be reverting back to the authors, and they might want to republish. They might want to redesign and release as indie. So authors, it's possible to do that. You can eventually take control over your book and release it. How artists, designers, do you have a particular one that you have an idea for?
I can't think of one right now. Do I think a lot of romance covers need a redesign? Yes, I do.
Okay.
But
Ako, I
I don't really care about them that much. So
yeah. Well,
Okay.
if I had one specific cover that if I could, I would redo, but I can't. So anyway, it's Lisa Kleypas chasing Cassandra
Oh,
oh
because
right, right.
only because the Cinderella look for the girl made sure that she had a super skinny waist, and yet in the book she's constantly chastised for being chubby and eating too much and like not having a good figure, and it's like the cover is a complete misrepresentation of what's inside the book. So yeah, if I were to do it, I would still give her the Cinderella vibe because it's very much in keeping with the story, but I would give her like, an accurate body shape. Because Cassandra's a nice character. I actually really like her, but yeah, the cover was such a disservice to her. Sorry, I'm spilling all the tea tonight, apparently. What is happening?
thanks, Carla. Thanks, everyone. Okay, so that's our last question. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we may be here on the chat for a little bit longer. And yeah, Carla is taking task healer for all of
Who is this
us.
person? Who is this
Who is this
Who
person who
said
just
that?
said it?
who
Thank
wrote
you
this
for that
comic?
comment, Tanya. Yeah, but just to recap, yes, this is something we talk about a lot, especially because we're selling books now. We're having experience not just selling them on Amazon, but we're hand selling them at events. We're selling them in schools. We're selling them. Well,
Sorry,
we used to at
yeah,
least
say it.
pre-pandemic, with and especially right now with the school year, with a lot of it being online, we are when we actually can do more author events, and we can share our books to more students. So it really is a discussion what our books look like, and how our different audiences will be able to pick it up. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and feelings and opinions, Tanya, Miles, and Carla. So we have their contact information up. We'll share it if you need to get in touch with them. That's Miles.
That's
Uh,
me.
that that is Miles. And then Tanya is on tanyaarpa.com.
I did not prepare a thing.
And Carla is on
Uh,
Twitter.
yes, at Carla K. de Guzman. And I also have a website, carladeguzman.com.
Okay, and that was our panel. Maybe judge a book by its cover. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Oh yeah,
Bye,
before we
Carla.
end,
Thanks, Mina.
we have
Miles,
to.
ang ng lipstick mo. Good job.
Oh yeah,
I
before
love
we
it.
end, because we have also have panels for next week. The last of
Hmm.
our video panels on August 29, 5 p.m. NB Rep in Romance and Fiction with EK Gonzalez. And at 7 p.m., it's Mukbang Nights by the Titas. Sorry.
Yes.
Yes. Your alta
Alpha.
Alright,
titas.
Carla de Guzman, Mina V. Esguerra, and Suzette de Borja.
Yeah.
So that's a twofer
Bianca
on
Mori.
Saturday.
Bianca
Oh yeah,
Mori
and
is
yes.
joining the mukbang. So I'm Sabit. Thank you for letting me join your Alta mukbang. Okay, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Thanks. Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.